moment of prayer or silent reflection.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
My final roll call tonight. Pat Webs, Ward 1. Ray Drew, Ward 2.
Present.
Drew Worley, Ward 3.
Present.
Jeff Lucas, Ward 4.
Present.
Brian Holmes, Ward 5.
Here.
Gary Howe at large.
Present.
John Gabriel, President of Council.
Here.
Mayor Forthover.
I'm here.
Amy Hendricks, Finance Director. Present. Tony Valerius, Service Director.
Here.
Chris Howard, City Engineer.
Here.
Chris Hartog, Police Chief.
Here.
LeBron, Fire Chief.
Here. Thank you. Again, everybody's had a chance to review the minutes from our May the 5th meeting. If there are no additions or corrections, and I entertain a motion to accept those minutes as received.
So moved.
Second. Please call the roll.
West. Yes. Howe.
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
Lucas.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Drew.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And tonight, folks, we're going to have a little bit of a different meeting than typically, thanks to the retirement of our long-term clerk of council, Gwen Fisher. I'm going to invite, start with the administration, and then we will invite family members and any other folk who would like to speak as we wish her a fond farewell into her next life, which will not include ordinances, appropriations, transfers, and various other council shenanigans. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let Mayor Forthover start the...
Thank you, Council President. I've had good fortune to be part of many special council meetings, and I have to say this is one of the most special. I think, how many relatives and friends of Gwen Fisher do we have here tonight? Everybody raise their
I
hands.
show of hand, please.
Oh my goodness. How about a round of applause for this? I don't usually get to tell the clerk of council what to do, but at this point, I would like to ask her to join me. All right, we have a microphone? Good, let's try this. Okay, I have a proclamation to read. It's from the office of the mayor. Gwen Fisher has faithfully served the city of Vermilion for an extraordinary 31 years and 2 months, having been hired in 1994 by then council president Skip Griffin. And whereas throughout her distinguished career, Gwen has endured 5 mayors and 10 terms of city council presidents, including Skip Griffin, Jimmy Davis, Dan Roth, Fred Ostrander, John Gabriel, times 2 or 3, Monica Swinhagen, and Steve Herron. And whereas certified municipal clerk Gwen Fisher has been the steadfast administrative cornerstone and a factor of consistency in an ever-changing Vermilion legislative branch, attending 791 council meetings, managing the creation, review, or transcription of 2,680 city ordinances, as well as various other legislation and resolutions with precision and accuracy. And whereas Gwen Fisher contributed to the community beyond her official duties, including judging a Fish Festival Queen competition. And she was a member of the first team to represent the city of Vermilion at North Coast Corporate Challenge, where the team placed in several categories. Gwen has also been the top fundraising ticket seller for the Vermilion Port Authority. And whereas Gwen's integrity, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to the city of Vermilion have left a lasting legacy and an example of trusted public service to the people of Vermilion. Now, therefore, I, Jim Forthover, Mayor of the City of Vermilion, do hereby proclaim May 12, 2025 as Gwen Fisher Day in the City of Vermilion and urge all citizens to joined in expressing deep appreciation for her decades of service and wishing her continued happiness in the years to come.
Here.
All right, anybody want to take pictures? Now's the time. There. Smile. All right, good. All right. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Okay, at this time, if there are family members who would like to comment or have anything to say, I would ask that you please step forward, or even audience members for that matter, on this particular topic. Please step forward, and you're welcome to join us in our celebration of Gwen.
Let me state my name.
And address, please.
Bryce Fisher, son of Gwen Fisher. Mom, we're very proud of you. Worked your rear end off here for the last 31 years. You've raised a beautiful family. She's only going to keep getting bigger.
Okay.
We're very proud of you. You've worked with some wonderful people over the years, and we just want to say thank you. We love you very much. Best of luck to you for being a grandma. Love you very much, and we all use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I feel like I have to.
I wanted my brother there.
I'm Chelsea, Gwen's daughter. Mom, your work, has been amazing, and it only trickles down into the way that, you raised your family and us. I'm really excited, so now I can start having babies. Free daycare. No, but you deserve all of this. I'm really excited for you to get that boat that you worked so hard for. Or just keep using Dawn and Bill's, that works too. But I wish you a lifetime of happiness, and I can't wait to see what is next for you, because I know you won't stop working here.
Maybe.
Love you, Mom.
Kids are killing me here.
Napkins.
Brock Fisher, favorite son. Mom, I just want to say thank you. You have instilled a work ethic into all of us, especially you. Look at that guy, he's killing it out here. It's beyond what we can say, and we just appreciate you so much more than you know. And I know it's hard sometimes to realize how much we appreciate you, but we really do. And I know you're going to get bored, so if you're ready to help us with homework or help us
I don't do
pay off
homework.
college, really anything. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
All the other siblings went, I figured I'd come. So me being the
You gotta say your
oldest,
name.
Yep, name, please.
Brandon.
Oldest.
Oldest.
So being a kid, I think I've probably shared some of the duties with the council meetings. She's not the only one that attended them. Mom was always gone on Mondays. So just to know her work ethic, what she's done for the city, how much she's put into this place. I know she, like you said, Mayor, she's been through quite a few. It's kind of like the Browns quarterback rotation, it sounds like, more than one. But in all seriousness, her dedication to the city of Vermilion should be duly noted. I know different personalities, we probably always don't see eye to eye, different changes, different regimes and things like that, but someone who has been here from day one, I can tell you guys she loves what she does. I'm sure she's retiring, so I don't know if she still does, but I'll say this, I'm a very proud son. Mom, I love you. Thank you for all the hard work, feeding us, putting roofs over our head. We are very grateful for you, and the city of Vermilion should be as well.
Thank you. No childhood stories,
Yeah,
please.
at least one.
Not for me.
Catherine Lawton, I live at 842 Greasewood. I'm a new resident of Vermilion, and that's because of Gwen. She invited me to come and live here, and I want to thank you, Gwen. She's been a wonderful daughter. She doesn't just work for the city. She is kind and generous to everyone. She goes way beyond do things for everyone. Thank you, and I love you. And I love
My other son.
David Morgan, 5366 Portage Drive, Vermilion. I'm here on behalf of the Vermilion Port Authority to make sure we recognize you, Gwen, for all that you've done for us. And yes, I do feel like a son because the many times you got me out of a jam like a good mother would do. And you've been a phenomenal person for the port over the years. You've always had answers to our questions. You've always kept us on track. You've always been someone we can go to if we have a problem. And you are going to be dearly missed. You have a good substitute,
Yes, we do.
but you're going to be missed because you're a unique person. So I did stop and get you just a little gift. Because sometimes I walk up and I know she likes, but here's a chocolate chip cookie. Best of luck, and I'll see you for July 4th on the kayak.
Fundraising.
Steve Aaron, 6799 Cliffside Drive. We sat together in council. We sat together a lot of baseball games. And you're a true friend, a true servant to the people. The people came first. You handled people very well. At the end of the day, it is true that when it came to doing the job, you did it right. There's a right way and a wrong way, and you did it right. Put the extra time and effort in at all times. And a true professional. I appreciate it very much. And many times, by the way, the council president doesn't know what's going on, and Gwen's there to explain it when you kind of forget. And I'm sorry, I'm putting it in the position.
I was like, well. You're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud.
Very helpful and very knowledgeable and always knowing what's going on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marilyn Brill, 1745 Cooper Foster Park Road. Actually, my daughter and Gwen were good friends long before 31 years ago. And truly, this city would not be where it is today without Gwen Fisher sitting and doing what she's done for the past 30 plus years. You are a pillar for this group. Really, you're going to be missed by many people. Gwen, I wish you the best. The best role is the grandma role. You're going to do that well.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Monica Swinhagen, past council president. Gwen, I just wish you the best. You were amazing as I served on council at large and as president, and always directing, always looked for the best of the city, always directed us to do, to help lead, to direct the city in a positive direction. And I thank you for that for all these years, and Elaine has done well for all these years.
Thank you.
Partly because of you, so you will be dearly missed, and I hope you enjoy your family so much now that you have the free time to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it? Did we get everybody?
I'd just like to say, having 27 out of the 31 years of working with Gwen, and we've had countless conversations over the years, sitting on the Records Commission, when you made me keep the minutes, I've never forgiven you. But I've had a newfound appreciation for what you go through, and we've been through a lot of stuff together, and I wish you the best of luck. But I still have your cell phone number, so it's really not going to change.
Got to change your phone there.
Former Tap, 3972 Edgewater Drive, Mrs. Fisher, Gwen, if I may. I've expressed myself to you personally and writing. I thank you for all of the words of mine that I've burdened you with over the past 8 years or more. I wouldn't have spoken except I think somebody should mention that in addition to almost 800 council meetings, you've probably done thousands of boards and commissions meetings and probably written enough minutes, particularly when I talk, to fill many, many, many volumes. And thank you that you've allowed me to read some of those volumes. And I have to say it's an incredible amount of professionalism. And I also will say that as an attorney, and having dealt with many city councils and many clerks of council, I have not generally known clerks who are capable of writing most of those almost 3,000 ordinances. Thank you so much for 31 years.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the administration before we go down Council Road here, real good? Okay, starting, whoever would like to speak, go ahead. You stay right here? No, you can stay right from where you're at.
Gwen is truly reflective of Vermilion. When you think of Vermilion, you think of Gwen Fisher. Gwen is everywhere. So if there is a cause, if there is some sort of a problem, Gwen is part of the solution to either of those two. I have the pleasure of knowing you now about 6, 7 years. She's invaluable. The experience that she has and that we're losing is immeasurable. But what we are gaining is another person, Melanie, who's going to step up, and she's going to be the face of Vermilion and helping us guide council. So Gwen, I wouldn't be here today without you. Thank you very much.
Gwen, it's been a pleasure. You've always been the person I call to. When I need an answer, you've always been there, and I do appreciate it. You've certainly helped me grow in this position, answering any questions and all questions I have, and that includes, I know a lot of folks have called you about anything, and you've always had the answer. And we did test Melanie this week, and she passed. I don't know why she answered the phone. But you would answer the phone when you were off, and you would answer the phone when I needed it. So I do appreciate you. Be sorely missed, and thank you for all your years of service here for the city of Vermilion. Thank you.
Any other comments?
No, I'm gonna miss you a lot. I first met Gwen when I was building my house back in 16, and I came home from working night shift the next morning and explained to my wife who my girlfriend in the white Bronco was, because she stopped and said hello to me when I was putting my daughter on the bus. Grace Ann was convinced, but since then, we've grown a great friendship and being neighbors and stuff, and it's been great. You're a cornerstone for me as far as answering questions and stuff up here, so I'll miss you, but enjoy retirement.
Thank you so much.
So, first of all, on a personal level, you have raised a wonderful family. You should be very proud of your children. And I get to share one of your children. One was my son-in-law. So thank you for that. Couldn't ask for a better man to have married my daughter. And a lot of that comes from you and Craig's raising of him. Thank you very much. I'm going to miss you. You've always been there for me to answer those questions. The institutional knowledge that you have will never be replaced. So thank you so much. You've helped me write legislation. You've kept me on track. You've just done so much. I think obviously we're going to have to share babysitting responsibilities, and we'll fight over the grandchildren. But we love you, and thank you for what you've done to the city, or for the city, and we're going to miss you.
Gwen, I'd like to thank you for being a really good friend and neighbor, and I'm surprised you're not wearing a cape with an S on it. You're super.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No?
I wrote mine, so I know what I'm saying. So tonight we honor the quiet backbone of our city government, Gwen Fisher.
Don't do it.
For 31 years, she has ensured the meetings ran smoothly,
records remain accurate, and our process remain transparent and accountable. As she steps into a well-earned retirement, we celebrate not only her years of service, but the legacy she leaves behind as the council clerk office that runs efficiently, ethically, and with heart. I now have the unique honor and no small responsibility of stepping into her role, and I'm grateful for the example that she set. So,
Thanks.
I won't continue, I'm sorry. So Glenn, thank you for everything. I wish you joy, health, and all the fun things that come with retirement. Well deserved.
Well, you know, Gwen and I, we've served a couple times together now, and I was responsible for her first heart attack.
Hopefully my only one.
The only one, yeah. Let's not have another, that was scary. So, no, the council clerk position is of the utmost importance to the city. It literally stops us from making prior mistakes that were repeatable. You know, she is able to draw from the history of Vermilion and make sure that we understand what has happened in the past as new and incoming council people. It's just, I can't even describe how invaluable that is to council people. You know, there's 7 different personalities up here. They change every couple of years. It's a very difficult task. It's herding cats at its best, and she has done it, and she has done it with the best of them. I mean, she has saved us from lawsuits where these frivolous folks sue us for reasons that you just wouldn't believe. I've been in enough executive sessions to tell you we get sued by people, and there's people who literally travel from town to town with these obscure record requests looking to hit you with something that they don't think you can find. You know, Gwen's like, here it is. So, I mean, just the little things. I could go on, but I know everybody has said it a lot tonight, and I agree with all of it. And I'm going to sorely miss her. I'm excited for Melanie to get a start. I mean, one of the things, when I came back from out of retirement, as it were, in 2023, I had a focus on getting Gwen's replacement, because that is how important I think she is and what she does is. It is literally one of the cornerstone pieces to city government, and not only Vermilion, at any government. So I'm grateful to have you. I'm grateful to serve with you multiple times, and I promise not to do anything to get you wound up again.
Yeah.
So, I thank you.
Okay, now it's my turn. Thank you, everyone. That was wonderful. And I'm sorry if this is going to be long and boring, but I think after 31 years, everybody gets to listen to me now. Tonight is my last council meeting as the City of Vermilion Certified Municipal Clerk, as I officially am announcing my retirement as of May 30th, which will mark 31 years, 2 months, and 16 days working in this capacity. I cannot lie that this will be bittersweet for me, as I thoroughly love this job and serving this community and its people. It has not always been rainbows and butterflies, but it's been mostly a wonderful career. I'm going to give you a little bit of history of my employment background. I started working at a young age at a campground as a scorekeeper for skeet shooting. And at the age of 16, I worked at our local bakery. After graduation, I worked in the circulation department at the Bellevue Gazette until moving to New York, where I worked at the Watertown Daily Times. I have also worked in the engineering department and for the controller of accounting at Ford Motor Company, and for numerous attorneys until getting hired with the City of Vermilion in 1994 at the age of 29. So at the age of 60, I feel this retirement is deserved. Over the course of my career, I have had the privilege of working alongside dedicated employees and public servants whose commitment to this community has inspired me. Together, we have weathered challenges, celebrated milestones, and we have shown integrity and service that defines local government. And for that, I would like to thank all the city employees, the many city council members and volunteer board members, and the 4 former mayors and present Mayor Forthover that I worked with over the last 31 years. I am thankful for the friendships I have gained along the way. As city employees and public servants, we all take those personal hits, which are par for the course, but I do believe we all work hard for the betterment of this community, whether or not everyone agrees, and that's okay. After much reflection on my years serving this community as your certified municipal clerk, I've thought about the billions of words I've transcribed, the many thousands of ordinances I've prepared, and the enormous number of meetings attended, along with so many more responsibilities. I definitely can say I'm going to enjoy my Monday nights off, and my Tuesdays, my Wednesdays, and my Thursday nights, as there are council and board and commission meetings throughout the week. Serving as municipal clerk has given me a deep appreciation of local government. I am proud of the work we have accomplished and the relationships built along the way. As I move into this next chapter, I will cherish not only the memories, but a deep sense of pride that comes from having served a community I care so deeply about. Everyone tells me that I will be busier than ever once I retire, and believe me, the projects are already lining up. I'm excited to spend time with my entire family. I may not know what to do with myself at first, but I'm sure I'll get used to it pretty quickly. I would like to give a personal shout out to the first city council who hired me in 1994 and trusted me in taking on this position. Earl Tischer, Robert Skip Griffin, Earl Hunter, Russ Eimars, Jack Burns, Brian Sarator, and Gary O'Neill. I want to thank all the city council members over the years for their kindness and respect. In closing, I want to thank my husband Craig, who cannot be here tonight as he works for Norfolk Southern, and as we know, the railroad doesn't get time off. My 4 children, Brandon, Bryce, Brock, and Chelsea. My daughter-in-laws, Amira and Autumn, future daughter-in-law, Shauna, future and son-in-law, Nick, 5 grandchildren, Caleb, Peyton, Mila, Milani, and Macklin, and soon-to-be baby girl Fisher in July, because he won't give us the name of the baby yet. Along with my parents and my siblings. My mom and my brother Jay's in the audience tonight. My family has been my biggest support system, and I thank them for understanding my role as a working mom and wife. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my closest friend and confidant, Dawn Barnes. She's also in the audience. She's always been there for me on the good and bad days, and who has encouraged me when I've needed it the most. She's gotten me through a lot of rough moments. As I start this new chapter and you happen to see me out and about through town, please continue to come up and say hello. I'm always free for lunch. And one more page, I think. In closing, I want to give a huge thank you to the citizens of Vermilion. It has been my sincerest privilege serving as your certified municipal clerk. I graciously appreciate your confidence and kindness to me over these past 31 years. My final sincerest wish is that this community stands strong in unity, remains positive, respectful, and kind, and strives towards being a great town on a great lake that we can all be proud of. My last comment is that I'm officially passing the torch to Melanie. She will serve this community honestly and with integrity, and she will work hard for the citizens of Vermilion. I would ask that you all treat her with the same kindness and respect. She's a big piece of the puzzle that helps this city move forward. I wish her nothing but the best, and I trust her to take over this position in a positive light. I thank you all for my 31 years. Now can I leave?
Yes, you can. Feel free to go. Stand.
I'm standing.
Okay, and with that, and I thank everybody for your participation in that. That was terrific. We are going to go on to, tonight's agenda is going to change a little bit. The agenda you see before you for the special council meeting, we will recess from after open to the audience. And then we are going to go into our committee meeting agenda in the order that it's posted. And then we will then return to the special council meeting and the continuation of the reading of the ordinances. So if anybody who is signed in, yeah, and the family, if you would like to leave, obviously you don't have to sit through all of this stuff. We appreciate you coming, your time, and your remarks. Thank you very much.
Bye, Mom.
And with that, we have Arlene Olson. Yeah, right. Arlene, just for the record, your name and address again, please.
Arlene Olson, 14901 Darrell Road. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all your work, and congratulations to Gwen, and thank you for all your work and everything. I'm just a concerned citizen, and in my humble opinion, there needs to be a staggering of multiple major purchases when those need to occur. That is better timing and budgeting over a set period of time. It should apply to any large financial decision the city makes. I'm suggesting that budgeting, planning, common sense, and discernment be employed in a more direct way, and for balanced priorities, that they need to be set to benefit the taxpayers in a more efficient and cost-efficient way. I'm just a concerned citizen, and I'm also asking for less need for emergency appropriations, so it can go through the process appropriately. Just an example, like those 6 police cars that were approved all at once. Generally, corporations, my understanding is, for different investments, et cetera, they'll stagger them, or what they call ladder them, so things don't expire all at the same time, whether it's an investment or a vehicle. So just have concerns along that line, just in general going forward, just something to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jean Anderson.
I'm good for right now, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Marilyn Brill.
My name is Marilyn Brill. I live at 1745 Cooper Foster Park in the big city of Vermilion. Gwen, I really appreciate our friendship throughout the years, and I'll still come back to city council meetings. I know you deserve time off. Anyway, a few months ago, we learned that the chief of police mentioned that there were gonna be 6 or 8 new police cars, correct? So that's a concern of mine, because I'm thinking last week we just talked about how terrible the roads are in this city, and we've got 8 new police cars gonna be traveling on all of those roads, irregardless of the condition. And then the service director is also trying to get a new snowplow on top of the one he just got, and also another truck for the water department to service the city. If we don't take care of our roads, and we're ordering all these new cars and vehicles, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm quite concerned about where's the priority here. Shouldn't we be fixing some of the roads? I know 2 of them are gonna be repaired, but there's more than 2 that need repair. So before we make decisions about all this new equipment and a dump truck and another snowplow that we never know is gonna be used, because Mother Nature rules that. But just to have those police cars out there, how long are they gonna last on these roads that are just in terrible condition? That's my concern about all these new vehicles that we ask about. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Homer Taft. Mr. Taft.
Mr. Gabriel, thank you. In light of the fact I got to thank Mrs. Fisher, y'all, and I do have some things I might discuss under some of your ordinances under finance, but I'll just pass for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and with that, we are going to recess. I will call to order the Streets, Buildings, and Grounds Committee. First up is the CHIP grant. Mayor Forthover, that has your name by it.
Thank you, Council President. As I mentioned at a previous meeting and in some writings, Vermilion has the opportunity to benefit from revisiting of the CHIPS grant. And with us tonight we have Ms. Amy Overmeyer, who's come to speak. She is the housing coordinator of the Great Lakes Community Action Partnership. And she'll explain a little bit more firsthand of exactly what all is involved in the CHIP grant and what we're going to have to do. So, Ms. Overmeyer, if you can speak into the microphone right up at the podium. Thank you.
Hello, my name's, as the mayor said, my name's Amy Overmeyer. I work for Great Lakes Community Action Partnership, GLCAP for short, and the housing coordinator. And we are currently administering a grant for Erie County, and the city of Vermilion is a partner in this grant. We speak today because we are going to be applying for additional funds for the next grant, which would start at the end of the year. And in the current grant, we are seeing a lack of files for the city of Vermilion. So we want to make sure that the residents of Vermilion are aware of the program that they have, that is offered to them. The program is called the CHIP program, or Community Housing Impact and Preservation. With that program, there's actually two separate programs underneath there. There is one that is called the Home Rehabilitation Program. This program is where the homeowner would apply in our office, and I did bring flyers. I set them back there. And it has the information on how they can apply. It has the income guidelines. So for the rehabilitation program, we would have an inspector come in the home. They would do a complete inspection in the home of all of the systems. Take a look at the roof, gutters, heating. They test all combustibles and make sure that the house is safe. Any of the needs in the house or the systems that need to be brought up to code would be brought up to code. This is a very large amount of money that gets put into a person's home. And with that, since it is a lot of money, part of it is a loan and part of it is like a forgivable lien or mortgage. So how that works is that the homeowner would have to agree to stay in their home for 5 years. Each year for the first 5 years, 20% of whatever is put into their home is forgiven, and after 5 years, the mortgage is 100% forgiven. So as long as, say we put $65,000 worth of work in someone's home, bring it all up to code, this program is great for keeping aging elderly in place in their home. We can do ramps, we can do ADA modifications, all of those things. The other part of this is just a simple home repair program. That is where we would just address the greatest need. So it'd be one or two systems in the home. So typically if we do a roof, we're gonna do roof and gutters. If we do a water heater, we're gonna do furnace, water heater, AC. And with that one, since it is on a smaller scale, we are able to, it is all grant funded. So there's no stipulations on how long anyone has to stay in the home for that. Right now in the current grant, there is no waiting list for the city of Vermilion. So we are asking that you get the word out so that way your citizens can take benefit of this program. And what happens is basically halfway through the grant, if the city does not utilize the funds, or we do not utilize the funds in the city, it then gets reallocated throughout the rest of the county. I appreciate the mayor allowing me to come and speak so that way we can make sure to get the word out and use the funds where they need to be used.
Are there any questions? Yes, sir. I apologize. What was your first name?
Amy.
Amy, you mentioned Erie County and the city of Vermilion. Specifically, my interest lies in the Lorain County side. Does CHIPS cross the lines?
Yes, so as long as they are inside the city limits of Vermilion, if they are outside of the city limits of Vermilion and in Lorain County does have their own CHIP program.
Thank you.
I would just ask the administration, our building inspector, if he's out and about and I can identify some people that could use this. Hopefully you guys are passing this information on to them. I don't know if that's already happening, but that'd be a great resource. I think he'd probably be the best suited person to help spend some of this grant money.
Definitely, yes.
Ms. Overmeyer, just for the public consumption, I know certain elements of the home are eligible, roofs, heating systems, things like that. What about sanitary systems? Is there a coverage of that?
We can address sanitary systems, yes. Yes, we can.
What about laterals?
The program can do laterals. The only issue is that a complete inspection has to be done on the home and the greatest need has to be addressed. So if you got a leaking roof or a fire hazard, we're gonna address those before the lateral.
And tomorrow, if somebody was interested and felt they qualified, where would they go?
So, like I said, I did bring these brochures. We do have a 1-800 number, and then we have a glcap.org. which is our website, and if you do /home repair, it takes you straight to our program, and there is a referral, online referral. You fill out a couple questions, hit send, and it goes right to our intake department, and they reach out.
You're always welcome to call City Hall, but the quickest way to get your answer is to call Ms. Obermeier's organization. We're just an intermediary.
What's that number?
So the number is 1-800-775-9767. Then you just ask for the CHIP program.
What was the last four?
9767.
Thank you.
One more question. Is there a specific dollar amount that's been allocated for Eric, or for Vermilion?
So for the current grant, 136,640 is allocated to private rehabilitation. So you're looking at 2 to 3 homes, and then 116,000 is allocated to home repairs. So you're looking anywhere, depending on what they are, about 4 to 8 homes. So that does include our soft costs, which pays for pest inspections, lead. We do lead risk assessments. Our inspectors are licensed to do lead risk assessments, and with that they look at if the well or septic, those need to be, we get with the health department, those need to be looked at and inspected.
I think for the CHIP program in 2021, Vermilion was one of the largest users in the county, was it not?
We actually utilized, in 2021, we were able to do 2 private rehabs and 3 home repairs.
I think there's a question in the audience.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gene, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Want me to come up there?
Please.
Thank you for coming tonight and explaining this to us. My question is, a number of years ago, the city had its own CHIP grant program, and it was wonderful, and what was really helpful was an office somewhere in the city, so people here in Vermilion didn't have to travel to Sandusky or Erie County far. I just wonder if there would be the opportunity to say 1 day a week or something like that, to have a little office here in City Hall or posted someplace so people could come here and apply. That would be doable. I don't know, Mayor, if you could set something like that up, it'd be really
Ms.
helpful.
Fisher's office is going to be empty.
Well, when he's there.
Just a few hours at your desk would be great. Anyway, thank you.
Yes, thank you. So just to speak on behalf of that, GeoCap does serve 8 counties. So we are centralized in Fremont. However, we do have 3 intake specialists, which if you wanted to set up a day where the girls could come in and sit down and meet with people, we are more than happy to do that.
We could run this one.
Okay. Well, we thank you for your time. It's great information.
All right.
Yeah, we hope to utilize it.
Yes, and like I said, I left stack of brochures back there on the last bench.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate it. Next item I have on the agenda is log removal, and what I've done, instead of bringing questions to Port Authority, I've asked Port Authority to come here. So, Aaron, could you just come and state your name for us, please? Sure. And we thank you for coming tonight and spending time with us.
My name is Aaron James Bias. I am the Operations Manager for the Vermilion Port Authority. Thanks for giving me a moment to speak on this issue. I'm here today to represent the Vermilion Port Authority, along with 2 of our board members in the audience there, Peter Corrigan and Larry Druhard. And as most residents know, we do have an issue with logs and deadheads plaguing the Vermilion River. At the Port Authority, we have gotten a few calls so far this year from concerned citizens regarding this issue, and I just wanted to make a statement as far as the port's involvement. Currently, the port is under-equipped and underfunded to deal with the full scope of the issue independently. With support from the Parks Department, we have developed a practical, limited response protocol for dealing with deadheads, specifically in the federal channel. This protocol includes the Port Authority breaking loose the deadhead and securing it to our shore. And when the Parks Department has time, they will come down with their equipment and haul the deadhead onto shore, where we let it dry in one of our parking lots for processing. Since both the port and parks are under-equipped and, like I said, underfunded for this type of work, sometimes we seek help from local marinas such as Valley Harbor, who in the past has helped us out, or local volunteers that have helped us out. Last year we did pull 2 major deadheads out, and this year we currently have one sitting on our shore drying out, which there was a picture of that included in that folder. And in conclusion, just to speak on this issue, we would be happy to assist more, but based on our current revenue streams, we are at a maximum with what we can do without outside assistance as far as funding. And then also in that folder was pictures of our workboat, what we currently have as far as equipment. And that's my statement.
That's pretty, thank you. Are there any questions?
More comments. Council President, thank you for putting this on the agenda from last week. I'm a boater. These logs are a concern for me. I also represent Ward 2, which is Riverside Drive, and a lot of residents have their own slips, and it's also a concern for them as well. I get a lot of calls. I think the city needs to do something. I know in the past it's really not been our responsibility, but I think it is our responsibility, and we need to fund the Port Authority properly, or go out and retain somebody to get these out in a safe way. A lot of boaters go up and down the river. They come to Vermilion, either the residents or their visitors, and we owe it to them to make it a safe passage through. So I don't know what that solution is. Hopefully we can have a good discussion about it and see if we can find some adequate funding for you. If it's going to be the Port Authority's responsibility, and if you need other equipment too, let us know as council. I see this little boat, and I'm not sure exactly everything you do,
right?
But we'll support you.
Okay.
Any other comments? Go ahead.
Is it our responsibility, or is it ODNR's responsibility?
Mayor?
Last year, we asked the law director that, and apparently the law was ill-defined, but it seems to fall somewhere between the Port Authority of the municipality and the Parks Department, as Aaron suggested. But not really specifically coming down on one or the other. And there's a federal channel consideration to be considered too.
That was, when he mentioned that, kind of what my thought
But there's
was.
really no good answer. I mean, the Coast Guard can't, it's not the draft for the Coast Guard. Last year, I will tell you that the first time I ever spent money on the city's behalf, on the Nautical Drive channel, I believe, on a private property, a tree fell across the channel in midsummer and was totally blocking people from being able to get their boats out. The property owner was unwilling to do anything about the tree and cited some insurance law saying that it really wasn't their responsibility once it fell. And I think that may be true. So actually, I contracted Valley Harbor to remove the log, and it was in the thousands. That's not something I want to repeat, not something I believe we're really obligated to do, but just out of consideration for people on Nautical Drive, we did it. But it's not something I want to repeat, and it could get very expensive.
How often are we tasked with something like this? I mean, I don't really know.
Well, I mean, as far as like deadheads in the river, you typically get, 2 to 3 a year.
But
as far as, logs and everything, that's almost consistency. Even after, especially after like a bad storm,
But you're never gonna stop that.
right, it's nature.
So is the 2 or 3 incidents a year something like Swift Water Rescue or Fire Department can help with? You guys have the equipment for that, Chief?
We would have to use the county team just to have more bodies, because there'd be safety devices set up.
Yeah, currently we're making do with, between us and the parks with what we can do, but it is a time-consuming and laborious process.
And as those of you who are involved in the industry know, cutting up logs coming out of the river is not a quick and easy thing to do.
So you gotta let them dry for 1 to 2 weeks, and then you go through maybe a couple chainsaw blades because of all the sand and dirt that builds up on them, so.
I'd recommend that we put out a bid and have some businesses and anybody interested in pulling this stuff out, give us some quotes, maybe we select the lowest bidder and we allocate some funding for the season.
Well, I would say before we go that far, we might want to maybe do a little more research on overlapping areas of responsibility. You know, we have a federal channel there, right? We've got ODNR involvement, so I think before we just go to town, we should really find out whose responsibility is what.
Yeah, unfortunately, this has been a long-standing problem, and nobody in 5 or 6 years that I've been aware of it has stepped up and said it's our responsibility, we're gonna handle it. So, I just hate to keep pushing it down the road.
Right. But it's also, I've been on the river for 34 years, right? We've been dealing with this for 34 years, and it seems to work its way out.
Well, eventually they will.
Well, yeah. No, I'm saying even, like, we pull trees out, different businesses pull trees out. I guess what I'm looking for is more to make sure that we have our ducks in a row before, you know, I don't wanna put the action before we put the research, I guess. See whose responsibility is what, and make sure we're legally in the right way, because once you take on that role, just walking away from it's gonna be a whole different ballgame, right?
But I think we heard the mayor, you got a opinion from the law director that it's the Port Authority and the parks responsibility, right?
Not specifically, it's ill-defined, she said.
I think some of the issue too is removing things from the river. I don't know how that all works as far as law goes either, whether it be wood, rocks, or anything else, so.
But, so tonight, whatever I got, first of all, I thank you for your time, unless there's more. So what we would do most likely is maybe return Port Authority into your scope of meetings and kind of get your input, and then we can go from there. And so I appreciate your time tonight, and I think, Homer? Mr. Taft, I'm sorry. That overreach by going.
So that I catch the mic, Homer Taft, 3972, Edgewater. Very briefly, there are some grants from various entities available. I know the Cuyahoga Cleveland Port Authority has Flotsam and Jetsam, which are two specially fitted boats that take logs out of the Cuyahoga River and the port, and they patrol all year. I've had experience with that. Every river, every major river that empties into the lake dumps a lot of logs, and aside from when I was a voter being a victim of that, there are some people, I've known people who had both their engines blown and spent tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, it's unfriendly, but only certain places like Vermilion contribute that. And most of that is when there's a heavy rain, and most of that, almost all of it comes from upriver, not actually from the developed area of Vermilion. Having dealt with this as president of a condominium association, a marine condominium association that got wiped out by a river run, I've been through a bunch of it. The mayor's correct that the law is very vague, but frankly, I don't think anybody is necessarily responsible for taking the log out. A property owner might be responsible for not letting it in, not for taking it out. There is possibly a solution for Vermilion that occurs to me, that if you went upriver, about to where the Olympic, whatever it is, club is up there, and you were able to boom across the river beyond where it's navigable, at the end of the navigable river, you might catch a lot of the logs and then be able to scoop them out there, even with an excavator. I mean, even for example, Herc Excavating has that one with a really long reach. You might be able to pull a lot of them out, put them in a dumpster and haul them out. Or you might be able to do a mini Flotsam Jetsam kind of approach or get a grant for that, but those are approaches you might have.
Thank you. And I thank you, yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming out this evening. I appreciate it.
All right, health and safety come to order. We'll start off with Chief Brown, Fire Chief's report.
Thank you, sir. Month of April, the department responded to 30 calls. That put us at about 117 calls for the year, which is about 44% increase over 2024. EMS type calls, lift assists, those seem to be the majority of our increases right now. They make up about 45% of the calls we go to. Personnel, firefighters Kevin Lane, Greg Stark, Art Mead and Andrea Bartow are continuing with their Firefighter 1 program through the Lorraine County Fire Chiefs. They will be testing on May 27th. Just so you know, the tuition for all 4 of them is $5,600. That is reimbursed as long as they pass the test through the state fire marshals. Firefighter John Miles, Brady Dotson, and AJ Rantham continue their EMT class. They'll be done in June. That's through EHOVI. Once they're completed and pass their test, that'll give us 13 EMTs on the department and 3 paramedics. In the past month, 2 of our part-time firefighters have accepted full-time positions with other departments. Captain Derek Coubet was hired a little over a month ago with Perkin Township Fire. And our newly hired Colin Ransom actually worked his first shift today for the city of Lorraine. We appreciate everything they've done for us, but the great thing is they're staying. So we still have them on our roster and they're still readily available to us. Firefighter start, John Miles are currently finishing up a rope operations course at Sandusky Fire. They'll be done on this Friday, I believe. Once they're done, that'll take our technical rescue certifications from 5 to 9. So that's a welcome addition to the team. Tonight we begin either 2 or 3 consecutive Mondays where we will actually be training with Vermilion Township on Route 60. They've acquired a structure which is going to be torn down across from the Friendship Station there on 60. Gives us the opportunity to work with a department close to us. Helps our insurance rating, our ISO rating, because we do get credit for training with mutual aid companies. And also it's just a good idea to familiarize our people with their people and vice versa. April 29th, Chief Hartung and I met with Mark Weisenberger to discuss placement of AEDs in 4 of the city parks. Placement will be at Shozy, Sherrod, Main Street Beach, and West Breeze. This is in response to Ohio House Bill 47, which requires the AEDs in those places. April 7th, we began meeting as a department, the officers and a couple of firefighters, looking at replacing our 1999 aerial truck. And I'm sorry, I missed the first lady that spoke tonight regarding planning out trucks. I can say generally between 20 to 25 years is the lifespan of a fire truck. The ladder truck is a 1999. Hate to tell you, but things don't last like they used to. The salt on the roads, the things that they use on the road is just absolutely eating the undersides of all trucks, not just ours. But we are starting to look at that. We've met with 4 dealers. Sutphin out of Columbus, Ohio, which is the maker of our current truck. E1, which is out of Florida. Rosenbauer out of South Dakota. And Pierce, which is the majority of the trucks that we own are Pierce trucks out of Wisconsin. Right now we're looking at the different trucks, kind of deciding what we would like to see on the newer truck. Again, the big thing with that is they'll then be able to give us a more specified drawing of the truck before we actually find out what it's going to cost us. This piece of apparatus is necessary for the city to maintain the ISO rating. Without that truck, our ISO rating of 3 would drop to a 4. I don't know the dollar figures on what that would cost as a homeowner, but there could be an increase in that. Over the past 18 months, we've actually looked at that truck in a different way, and we thought about refurbishing it. Taking it to a dealer, taking it to a truck manufacturer. They would take it apart, change brake lines, change hydraulic lines, just do a whole upgrade of the truck. Estimates were anywhere between $325,000 to $375,000. At best, the dealers are telling us that buys you another 5 years, 5 to 8 years, depending. Once we decide on the maker of a truck, it will take at least 24 to 48 months before we take delivery of it. You're sitting down. The expected price tag of a truck like this is anywhere between $1.6 to $1.8 million. They're not cheap. again, we have a lifespan of the truck. This truck is currently still a good truck. It's not costing us extra money every year to repair it and fix it. We did do some brake work on it, but the nice thing is, talking with Amy, our fiscal officer, right now every year we have two different lines. We have a 206 and a 207. The 207 is a capital levy that we receive every year. It gives us just a little over $445,000 a year. And once we take some payments out for the new building, that leaves us about $195,000 a year that we get on. Currently, we have just a little over $2 million in that fund. So while obviously this truck would eat into that, one of the things that we're also looking at right now, one of our engines, engine 84, is due for replacement, and we're not replacing it because we have 4 other ones. We just don't need that many trucks. So we are going to save a little bit of money by not replacing a truck that currently really just doesn't get used. So if you have any questions, again, the truck committee, we've met several times. We're still very much in the infant stages of looking at this. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. So,
Chief, how do you store an AED at a park effectively?
Storing it's the easy part. Keeping it
How do you
there.
access it?
Keeping it there could, we looked at Main Street, for example, and on the new comfort station, we've got a spot where it's going to go where the cameras, security cameras will be there. And I believe Chief says that if somebody monkeys with that, it automatically.
So what we're striving to do is make sure that all these AED cabinets are connected with the city's infrastructure. So in the event, if anybody opens an AED door, it's immediately gonna go to dispatch, and the dispatch is gonna be alerted, hey, your AED just got opened. Because we don't want these things showing up to eBay. And plus, if we get that immediate notification, we have cameras in the area, we can see what's going on.
That's a follow-up. If you had cameras at like a park like Shozy Park, they could be positioned in such a way where you can see maybe the perpetrator.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
No,
With the, go ahead, Mayor, go first.
No, go ahead.
I had a question about the truck and the funding of it. With the property tax increase, if I recall correctly, I think the fire department got about 100,000 more a year.
Per fund, yeah.
Per fund. And that fund could be used to finance a truck, potentially?
Actually, that's what he's considering for whatever may end up being the cost. It's coming in out of the old fire department's own fund.
Okay. I guess I heard you, I thought you said you had 2 million in the fund that you could spend now, is what you said, right?
That's correct as well.
Okay.
That fund is restricted to use. There's 2 funds for the fire department and 2 levies, an operating and a capital. So the capital is restricted for that type of use, so it makes the debt service payments for the new station, handles any other major equipment purchases they have, such as a truck or medical equipment or a lift, things like that.
So buying this truck at some point isn't really gonna be a big problem for us. I mean, it sounds like we're fiscally sound
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
get it.
I think we could plop the cash down right now. Again, the 4 dealers that we met with, we're not paying anything until we take delivery, which, like I said.
And Councilman, I think that's an important point that you brought up, is the chief is using the fire department's own levy funds that people pay into for the purpose of what it's intended, which is equipment. I also want to commend the chief on having trucks that are expiring in their life and not immediately running to replace them. He's done a practical inventory of what is actually used and saying we may not need to replace this truck, which is not a common occurrence. So I commend the chief for that.
Anybody else have anything?
Just not to nickel and dime be a cheap ass, so to speak, but you said roughly 300,000 to do the new lines and all that buys us 8 years. If we do that 3 times over a course of 24 years, it's less than $1 million. Ballpark figure, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, how often do we use it? Would that be sufficient for you guys to just rehab for?
Again, we're going off of, unfortunately, there's not a lot of companies that do that refurb. Technically, Sutphen, the company that made that truck, when I went to them, and asked them. I told them we're gonna have to bid this, and they said, well, we're not interested in that. So it cut us down to basically one dealer here in Ohio, Fallsway Equipment. And, you know, as he said, you know, you're looking 5, maybe 8 years if you're lucky. So, yeah.
Gotcha. And then one other thing, with the increase of guys going to EMT and such, is the long-term goal to have our own paramedics and stuff on staff here?
I would ask council to hold off until next month on that question. I mean, I'm with you on that, so let's, if we can hold off till next month, that's great.
And I'll be honest with you too, on scene, we're helping each other. You know, that's another big concern that we've had. You know, there's times that, yeah, we need to take care of our brother, basically.
Sure.
So that's important.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
I got a question.
I'm Bill Barnes, I live at 236 Bowling in Vermilion. Going by what you're saying, I just want to understand it. As he posed you 3 times redoing, but honestly, you're not going to be able to refurb that truck 3 times.
I've never heard of it happen like that.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
being
right.
pointing out, I've worked on cars, hobby, and you're never going to get that lifespan out of it. So right now, you're looking at the short $1.5 million, but you wait 8 years from now, it's going to be $2 million. It's not going to go down. So I support what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, a similar truck in 2006. Again, that's, you know, a few years, but it was $600,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and you could throw all the COVID supply chain things, and that's, yeah.
Not saying that was the right answer.
No, absolutely.
Anyone else from council? Anyone from the audience, anything for Chief Brown? Thank you, Chief. Moving on to the police chief's report. Chief Hartman.
Good evening. Welcome back, President of Council John Gabriel, and our special thanks to Mrs. Gabriel for allowing me to come in and help out.
Great, I gotta sleep outside.
Our sincerest condolences go out to Oberlin PD and the loss of Billy Needham, who was their student resource officer. He was employed there for 18 years and unfortunately passed away. He was a good guy. So our heartfelt condolences go out to Oberlin PD. We've had a little pavement scam going on. Some fellows coming into town, coming into businesses going, hey, I see you got some potholes. I got a little bit extra asphalt. $5 a square yard, I'll fix your potholes. They go inside and they dump all this asphalt and they give them a bill for $50,000. So we've had 2 people, or 2 businesses that we know of that it happened with. If anybody else has had that, if they would let us know, but obviously this is why we have contractor registrations and building permits to make sure that we have vetted people providing services to the residents. So If anybody walks in your front door and says, "Hey, I got extra asphalt to run," lock that door, stay away. It's not worth it. 850 is in service. We don't traditionally use 850. We're talking about tree removal out of the river because it's not our boat, it's ODNR's boat, and it's not permissible. Use under the stuff, but kind of maybe talk in the future if this council decides that or the city decides the direction is You know, we get our own boat. And that would definitely be something you should consider. Consider is upfitting that or making that suitable to assist in that purpose, because we've been involved and helped out over the years since. Bill McCarthy was puttering up and down. On the river and that barge, so. Maybe food for thought for for the future. We passed our leads audit. Congratulations, Dispatcher Lulovic. She did a tremendous job, passed with flying colors for the state through that audit. Brian Beckwith was promoted to corporal last Friday. We use that as an honorary designation to recognize senior ranking individuals who've been with the agency. So congratulations. To him. So cruisers. So we Received 6 of the new cruisers. Those are in service. I'm very happy what I'm seeing on this version. So far, I'm getting, some of them are having $20 miles a gallon. So fleet mileage and police. And it's just a thing here. We were at the Crown Vic. We'd see maybe 8-9 miles a gallon is about traditional for fleet mileage. Since we've gone to these hybrid engines, 18 to 20 is what we're seeing. And when gas hits $4, a gallon, that gets expensive when you're running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So very happy to see that. Since I've been chief for the last 14 years and since my predecessor, every 3 years we come to council and we say we'd like to purchase 6. That's half our fleet. We rotate to 6. So they do 6 years of service as front line cars, and then they go off to other agencies. The fire department took receipt of one. of our old ones, building department. Court, they replaced that. And then once they reach the end of their maximum service life, then we put them out to auction. And then they go off. When I started, we had 3 cars and we ran them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's called hot seating. Cars that last maybe 2 years before they just completely disintegrate. We had an officer on Route 60, he had about 200,000 on that cruiser, and the frame completely separated on the car. And he got shot off, and back then, they just welded the frame back of the car and put it back. Back in service. So, yes, nobody is more acutely aware of the conditions of the roads of the city of Vermilion than your police department, because we We spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Week 365 days a year driving now. We don't have the luxury of waiting until all the roads are repaired because I gotta go down Cooper Foster, whether I got 200,000 miles or 10,000 miles on a car. If there's a domestic, if there's a burglary, if somebody's having a heart attack, we gotta get there. So the entire purpose of making sure this equipment's updated is we have a social contract. You know, we say, you know, you pay us and you give us a good living. We do these things for you in exchange. You know, there's some quid pro quo. So making sure that, you know, we're not gonna die with some hooped up thing is kind of paramount. That's why we've done it this way for almost 20 years, but it's the process we've been doing. Now, these were my last cars. I think 28 is the next one because I'm done in April. So what the next chief does or what his philosophy is, if you want to break it up, change it, do a different way, that's entirely how you want to handle that, but I just want to clarify that point. Other than that, it concludes my report.
Any questions for the chief? Craig?
Chief, I was gonna bring up the boat. You have brought to city council in the past, kind of given us the warning that sooner or later, we're gonna have to get a boat for the department. What do you think? How long?
Well, I think when I made that comment, I got yelled at by ODNR about how they wished I hadn't come out in the public and said something like that. So I don't know what the plans are, what ODNR's future is. It's things obviously we've had concerns about as far as what's the state's inventory of boats. How long are they gonna continue to support that program? And what point are they gonna say, hey, you know, you can still apply for this grant, we'll cover your hourly wages, but we wanna get out of the equipment business, which makes sense if they're gonna do it. So it really depends on what ODNR is doing. I mean, if ODNR is still gonna provide us with a boat, why do we wanna go off and buy one? But if that's gonna come to an end, then that's something we should seriously consider. And then providing a multi-purpose, not just a singular for a patrol function, but what else can we do?
Sure. Maybe a combination fire boat, police boat, and use some of the money the fire department has.
We can't let them out.
They could be the passenger at least, right?
Maybe hoses.
All the hoses, yeah. Is there a certain timeline, Chief, that we would know what ODNR is gonna do?
We are waiting for anything. Right now, there's no indication that they're changing anything. Everything is just rumors and scuttlebutt, but I like to practice risk forecasting and organizational risk management and, you know, play the cards. But right now, we have nothing concrete to indicate that they're planning on ending that or stopping it anytime soon.
Okay.
But that'll be the next administration thing.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Anybody else have anything for the police chief? Any questions or comments from the audience? All right, that will conclude the Health and Safety Committee.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to bring the Finance Committee meeting to order. There's 3 topics on the agenda. The general financial update, Director Hendrick.
Thank you, Councilman Lucas. In the area of general finance for this evening, the appropriation updates have been amended slightly since those that you received at the last meeting, and those are to include and accommodate changes in revenue based on recent council actions. There is a proposal in those appropriations to transfer $600,000 to streets, and the reason for that is that currently, given the timing of when the revenue changes were made for streets, that money is needed in order to avoid having a cash deficit at the county auditor's office with the certificate. So we will need to make that change either to increase the transfer or to reduce the budget by that corresponding amount. That also represents that transfer coming from the general fund. Also, Fund 602, which is wastewater, the decrease based on the revenue changes that were made at the most recent meeting for 8 billing cycles that are left in the year is to reduce that revenue by $660,085. A full year on that same type of rate reduction is going to be just over $1 million per year. So that's what we'll see for 2025, or 2026, I'm sorry. So that would summarize more of the general financial information. You have updates to the budget planning summary, as well as a listing of the updated transfers and advances that are proposed. So as a part of the legislation that's on the agenda for this evening, there's a second reading for ordinance 2025-31, and normally we do go to that third reading on our appropriation amendments. However, we won't have another meeting until in the month of June, and that would leave us out of compliance with Ohio Revised Code with our amended certificate that's on file at the Erie County Auditor's Office. So I do ask that when that motion comes around, if we could suspend the rules and approve that on the second reading to keep us in compliance with the Ohio Revised Code. And that includes my general topics.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
It's not really a question, but a comment. I'm noticing a typo on the Finance Committee agenda. The outgoing clerk
Made a typo.
might have made a typo.
I found it though.
So where it says, review of ordinances 25-10 and 25-38, that's actually 39. 38 is the cemetery contract. 39 will be the discussion of the transfer, if we're going to transfer money for the senior citizen activity.
Thank you for the correction.
Well, I noticed it, so I had to
heard
tell
a
him.
lot of stuff about accuracy tonight.
Questions? Further questions? Councilman Worley.
Okay, so you said that the updated appropriations, we want to move 600,000 from the general fund to the streets fund, correct?
Correct, to replace the lost revenue.
I understand. That coincides with 2025-30, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Originally, we had put 500,000 in that ordinance because we thought it was going to be a mid-year change in the tax rate. So when we went retro, that changes that. And then that corresponds with the items in number 31, 2025-31 that I spoke about that we need to have approved before the end of the month.
And that was gonna be my next question, so to be in compliance with the ORC, is it at the end of month that we have to have that done by? Okay. I'll just say, I'd be open to having another meeting between now and the end of the month to get that third reading in so we can actually go through this. I mean, you just added another $100,000 right now for that one ordinance. There's plenty of other changes to the appropriations, it looks like. Just throwing that out there.
Other questions, discussion? Okay, with that being said, item number 2 is a review of ordinances 2025-10 and 2025 amended -39. John?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to touch base on is we have 25 printers that's sitting there tabled, and I guess I'm trying to figure out why. You know, I would say either we vote on it, yay or nay, but it's my understanding, right, that this is two of the payments for the loan that we've already taken out?
The original
For $415.
$700,000 was a part of the administration's package of budget alignment types of things to allocate resources, but you are correct that we have, actually the payments will be $900,000 a year for 5 years because they're $450,000 each happening in July and January.
And currently that's Fund 415, right? Is that what we're saying, correct?
Correct.
415, okay. So I'm looking at it today and it sits there with, if I'm reading this correctly, $0 in it at the moment?
That would be correct. So the payment in July is coming from Fund 602.
Okay, so I guess that's one of the reasons I put it on. I'm like, what's the table time frame? Are we just gonna leave it in limbo till next July?
This
Are we
was,
gonna put some money in that fund?
I think the question is, do we need to transfer the money? The administration had brought to council several different things that they wanted to do. $2 million for some roads, $700,000 into the wastewater treatment fund, a couple other things, smaller things, I believe. I guess the question is, what happens if we don't transfer that money?
I think the challenge with that becomes, especially coming in January, we don't really know who all is going to be behind this table. Will they have an understanding of the importance of making sure that debt service is made and how to, if a transfer is going to be made, will it be authorized or will that next finance officer be in a position of defaulting on a loan? I think that part of maybe the concern is that there's been statements made about a third of the people in the city of Vermilion don't use the sewer service, for example, or various other services. I think you really need to put that into perspective, because if you look at, and just assume that 1/3 of the revenue that comes in for property taxes and income taxes over the course of the year are attributable to that 1/3 of people. That's probably a generous assumption, but we'll assume that anyway. That makes about $1.8 million per year in general fund revenue that could be possibly attributed. Now, we have people all over the city that are paying taxes and fees that may or may not impact their personal lives, which is a part of what public government and public service is about. But one of the things that to look at is that's $1.8 million, $1.9 million roughly, that would be attributable to those folks if we use just 1/3. That's about 22% of the total general fund revenue. The average general fund revenue in the last 3 years has been just about $8.3 million. So to use that as a reason not to transfer money. I think there's plenty left after these transfers are made, and it does get those funds into the allocations where they need to be, and can be tracked more easily.
I don't know if that necessarily is a good argument that not everybody uses that. I mean, we're a community and we all have to share the expenses and.
Well, that wasn't my argument.
I know, it wasn't, it actually wasn't, and I think your argument that, or your statement is that, just kind of like what I said, is we're a community, we're all in this together, and we gotta figure it out together. If we transfer that $700,000, it's in there, we can't pull it back out.
You would need to get a judge's order to do that.
Yeah.
However, if you consider the fact of all the work that needs done in the wastewater program, it's going to, no matter what the plan is, well exceed that amount of money.
Council President. And just thinking out loud here, how far off are we from labor negotiations with any of
The current negotiated agreements, all of them expired December 31st of this year.
So.
We intend to start probably about mid.
Okay, so here's the, like, from my perspective, the unseen danger of it, right? This money sitting in the general fund, unspoken for, whether it be if you wanna buy a salt truck or if you wanna start a fund that's gonna pay a debt service, if it's sitting in the general fund, that is part of your labor negotiations. It's not spoken for, it's unencumbered. So, I mean, I'm just saying, there's other pieces to it that maybe we should give some consideration as well. And I worry about the next incoming group. I don't plan on being here. You know, this isn't my campaign year, people, so that's my worry. So I'll just state that one right there.
Councilman Worley. Yeah, I know part of the reason why it's still tabled is because it's changed like at least three times. It seems like every meeting we change it. So I mean, that's part of the reason. We finally just landed on it, and I was just trying to pull up to see where we started at, because now we're back at 700. I thought we were at 700. I mean, it was take away 50 here, 650 there. Now it's back up to 700. The ordinance I have that we just got, what's that number right now? Is that back at 7?
Did it start at 7?
It started at 750, and then we broke off that 50,000 for the seniors.
Yeah, I got them to split it. Yeah, so that's part of the reason why it's still tabled, is because we monkeyed with it every single meeting.
No, we didn't, but that's okay.
We have changed it. You started at your one, he wanted to take 50,000 from it. The next meeting, it was in there to take the 50 from there. I said that we split it. So yeah, it's changed every single time.
Other questions?
Yeah, I was in the middle of the statement, but I mean, that's fine.
We'll continue. All right. Any further discussion? Mr. Taft, then Ms. Brady.
Good evening, Chair Lucas, members of the committee, over tab 3972 Edgewater Drive. Last time, hopefully I have to hear that tonight. I've written to all of you after the deadline, but I would like to talk about a few things. 601 and 602 are the largest of and among the enterprise funds. The enterprise funds are legally restricted funds, and they're supposed to pay for your sewer and your water, and there's some other enterprise funds that pay for small amounts. And they're supposed to be paid by the users and user fees by law. And if you don't collect enough, you're supposed to charge more. And as the finance director correctly said, once you give the money over there, whether it was needed or not, you can't take it back. Now, today, there's between $1 and $2 million in the water fund, 601, and $1 and $2 million in the sewer fund, in excess that came in, that hasn't been spent from previous years. And if we look at the resolution that you all passed, it projected at least $2 million in 602, the sewer fund, on December 31st of this year. If I heard the finance director correctly, about $600,000 for 3/4 of the year came out because of the resolution you passed to reduce the sewer charges. So you're going to reduce the user fees when you supposedly need the money, and you're going to take the money from the general fund that you can't get back, and you don't know if you need it. I don't think that's a very smart thing to do, and I'm not sure it's a really legal thing to do. But the underlying motivation of that is that you're trying to take money out of there so it doesn't look to the employees or the taxpayers like you've done what was done over the past few years and collected $4.7 million more than you took in at a time when they were paying more in their sewer fees and when they're paying now another $1 million in real estate taxes a year, $750,000 of it to the general fund. I've also written you, just for the record, about I think you need to amend your purchase of the water fund, and I will speak against the transfer to the water fund, because once again, the water fund is going to have $2 million by the end of this year, probably. And I've said at several meetings now, the truck should come from the water fund, which your ordinance didn't say, and I think you should amend it. But I'm opposed to transferring the 187 now. I'm not saying that the water department doesn't need the truck. The snow plow, I could talk about this and that. I mean, could you just get the water truck and use that as a plow and not have salt on it? Do we really need 5 salt trucks? I don't know. The service director or others may have a better opinion on that. But why are you taking money from the general fund for these enterprise funds that are supposed to be paid for by the users, not by persons who can't use it legally or physically? And why are we then turning around saying, but we've got no money to fix the god-awful streets we have? Gentlemen and ladies, yes, you do, unless you spend money every place else just to get rid of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brady?
Park Brady, 3936 Edgewater. I have a question, Amy. I guess all of those, sewer increases we've made for wastewater have all been based on the fact that we're trying to get money for this plant, possible plant, or towards
That project to make
Yes.
us EPA compliant.
So are we capturing that extra money?
It's going into the fund, this wastewater fund.
But is it going into a fund under the fund? So are we capturing? But shouldn't,
Or could you please come up to the microphone a little bit closer?
shouldn't we be capturing that? So it doesn't just go in and can't be piddled away out of the wastewater fund? I think any increases we make in wastewater, based on the fact that we are going to have to do something in the wastewater plant, should be captured into a fund that's a sub-fund under wastewater, so that we see what it is. So it doesn't get piddled away, like you said, with wages or trucks or whatever else. We allocate it, we say, I'm just using the word capture. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Council President.
First of all, I don't like words being put in my mouth. The piddling away, that I want to piddle it away because I'm worried about employees. No, my worry is that unencumbered funds that are going to be required for action in this town are going to look like they're sitting there, and then 10 minutes later, these funds are going to be needed somewhere. And you're going to be sitting on this big pile, and then you're going to go in negotiations, and they're going to look at that. It's part of what they do. I mean, this is part of a process that we go through. They go through the budget just like we go through the budget. We present our side, they present their side. And if there's funds there that should be used to pay other things, they're going to be part of the consideration for their income, and rightly so. I mean, if they're there and they're unencumbered, rightly so. And it's the employee's job to get those. It's absolutely, that's their whole job. And our job is to say, here's what we can afford. But to say like, I'm wanting to hide it or something along those lines, it's just not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is if money is needed for a loan that we've taken out, right, and we haven't paid anything on it, come July of next year, somebody's going to be looking at that loan. And you're going to kind of wish you had this money in there, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I know this is my second meeting, but whoo.
Service Director.
I just want to mention that we have 2 major water line replacement projects coming up this year that will be coming out of Fund 601.
Director Hendricks, and then gentlemen, if you want to come up to the front.
Actually, Mr. Valerius brought up the point that what I was going to make is that there's probably close to $2 million easily in water line work that is going to be going out to bid.
You could just state your name and your address, please.
Bill Barnes again, 236 Roland Road. I agree 100% with the President of Council. I'm a chairman, skill trades chairman at Avon Lake Ford. I rep bargaining, I've done this. He's absolutely correct. I understand you have bills, but if that money's sitting there in a pot and you come up to negotiations and then you try, they see it right there and all of a sudden they turn around and say, wait, we need this for that, it's gonna put a bad light on the city of Vermilion. So what he's trying to do, he's right. That's all I got to say.
Mayor Fortin.
One thing, thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Council President, I agree with everybody that says let's, move money that's necessary to do what we have to do. Any moving for tactical reasons pursuant to negotiation, I'd say we should adjourn to executive session to discuss our tactics. But as far as just what practically needs to be paid, which is I think what we're talking about, that's absolutely correct. And if it incidentally has an impact, that's true.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Would you permit?
Mr. Deck?
It'd be very brief.
Can you tell us what your address is?
Over tab 3972 Edgewater, I guess is that it again. Last meeting, you talked about there wasn't enough money to do both the streets that you were asking to be designed. The estimate that the engineer gave at a previous meeting, which I sent you an email about, was about 2.3 some, called $2.4 million, and you had just two, I think you just were putting in from streets. If you put in $700,000 more, you'd have all that and more, plus other monies that are coming in. So if you want to put it somewhere that it's needed, put it to streets, and P.S., if you want to take it back because you need it for something else, and you really don't have the money, you can take it back. But I still think you have to take the enterprise fund money from the enterprise fund payers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, President Gabriel's review of the ordinance 2025-26 and 2025-33.
Okay, it's just the snowplow truck. And we were kind of out of order at our last meeting, so I thought, well, we'll put it back to finance and we can bring it back out in the proper order. I think at that meeting, we had the snow and ice package ahead of the truck itself, or there was enough out of order that I felt that we should have a longer discussion about it and where we're at. So I'm gonna give my time, yield my time, as the attorney can explain what the needs are, and then maybe we can redo the conversation from there.
Okay, thank you, Council President. What I want to do is just give you a rundown on all the trucks we have. Last year, the trucks that we use for plowing, the 2023 International, it's a new truck. The 2019 International, which is a newer truck. I say that, but the 2019 International is already 6 years old, and a third of its life is already gone. And I still consider it a new truck. We have the 2015 F-750. That's really not a heavy-duty truck like an International truck, and it's really starting to show its age already. It has had several repairs performed on it. Last week, Councilman Howell suggested that we purchase used trucks. The 2007 International that we have is a used truck. I actually we bought that last year when we were worried about having 5 trucks in the fleet, because the new truck still hadn't been in production yet, the 2025 truck. And I knew we were going to get it in time. So you really need 5 trucks to efficiently plow the city. So we bought that used truck for $30,000, fully equipped. Since then, since we've had it, we used it the last winter. It's done a good job. However, it did break down several times. And we have spent close to $30,000 in repairs on it. And right now, it's in the shop. And we are looking to rewire the controls for the salt spreader on it. That's gonna be another $10,000. And after all that's said and done, as a salt truck, it's probably only got about 5 more years of life. And then we had last year the 2002 International. An end of the year, that's a 23-year-old truck. An end of the year inspection revealed that the double wall frame, which I spoke of last time, was extremely rusted and swelling up, making it very difficult to attach new parts to it because that truck breaks down often. The hydraulic control valve in the hydraulic tank leaks on the truck. And the guys had to stuff pig blankets, which are basically like diapers, into the tank each week to prevent it from leaking. We inquired about getting a new tank for it. All the newer tanks that they have, they don't make that tank anymore. All the newer tanks would have to be retrofitted to fit onto the truck, and it would be way expensive for 1 more year of service. Now that we have the new truck, the 2025 that just came in April, that 2002 International will be retired. When these trucks break down, it's not only a truck that's not out plowing the roads, but the mechanic has to stop plowing in order to work on it. Either that, or someone is jumping into a smaller truck, which really gets beat up because these small trucks aren't designed to plow streets. But now that the new truck has finally arrived, we will retire as I said, the 2002 International, and we do have 5 trucks for this upcoming winter. As I've stated before, a new chassis is looking at about 4 to 6 months. Might as well say 6 months right now. From what I'm hearing from the outfitter, they're a year behind. So you're looking at probably a year and a half before we get a new truck. In 2007, as I stated, we're gonna have 40,000 in there pretty soon, 35,000, something like that, just in parts. That's gonna be our oldest truck this coming year. And, I just think that good operating snowplow trucks are a must when there's snow and ice forecast. And the street department needs their proper tools to effectively and efficiently clear the roads. They shouldn't have to take time stuffing diapers in a 23-year-old truck that's full of rust in order to plow the streets. We have a cash surplus, and I feel there's no better time to continue updating our fleet for the future.
Questions? So I'll just rebuttal what you said. I was way more on board for a plow truck than I was for a new truck for distribution to haul dirt across town on water main breaks. That's what I referenced on buying used vehicles or used equipment for, because I truly believe that this is more of a convenience purchase than it is an operational purchase at this point.
What, the plow truck?
No, the other one. I'm just correct. You said that I talked about buying used plow trucks. That's not what I said. I talked about buying a used dump truck for distribution that they could get another 10 or 15 or even 20 years out of, because there's guys that make $100,000 plus every year in older equipment. That was my comment. Didn't have nothing to do with the plow truck. I just want to clear that.
Councilman Worley.
So we have 5 trucks for next season, barring anything happening to the ones that we have currently.
Yeah, we will have 5 trucks for the season.
I think I saw in the expense reports, did we pay Abraham Miller to do some plowing for us?
Abraham Miller plows our Victory Park, the city parking lot. There's a couple other spots. I think the police station.
Is that because we were down a truck or just?
Manpower mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we get another truck, are we still gonna have to outsource those jobs?
Probably, yes. I mean, those trucks are you know, you can use, it's just a parking lot, so you can use a pickup or a 1 ton to plow those. You don't need a big truck to do that, so.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Thank you. With no further questions or discussion, that concludes the Finance Committee.
I'll open legislative and turn it over to Councilman Drew, reference ordinance 2024-40.
Yeah, I'll make this real quick and easy. At this point, I don't have much to talk about with the current food truck legislation. We had some discussion. I don't know if there's room or if there's support really to open it up anymore. I want to, whatever we do, I want to be fair to the business owners downtown and within the city. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to accomplish that, and then also open it up. I'll keep looking at it. If anybody has some suggestions, I'd be more happy to hear them.
I think council made some good practical changes to it this past time, addressing one of the biggest ones, which is the fee, and also protecting, as you pointed out, the business owners. We've had 1 year of this or less in application. I'd say let it run for a while.
Close to that, yeah.
I'd say let it run for a while and see how it shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, we heard two positions at the last meeting. Barb Brady had some good insight, and so did Jen from Hawaiian Ice. And you know, I don't know. I don't know how to make it fair for everybody. I don't know if we're ever going to get there. Does anybody on council have any suggestions to kind of make the food truck people happy, but also make our businesses, you know, feel that they're not being left out as well?
I just have one correction. I believe the address that the ice truck gave is, I believe she's a township resident. I think that might have been a misunderstood point.
Okay.
She's not, you know, Vermilion Township, and I know those are close, but yeah, she's actually a township resident.
Okay. Anybody else in the Councilman Worley?
Yeah, I appreciate the clarification. I don't think in the grand scheme of things it really has much bearing though. You know, guys know me, I'm opening it all up. I think if you can park a car legally, you should be able to run a food truck out there legally. Downtown, wherever. I don't think it's our job to protect the local businesses. I'm big against, you know, protectionism. I know Council President Gabriel is all for that. If I go back and think about the meetings when they first passed all these things, and I get his stance on there is to protect those businesses downtown. I just don't think it's our job. I think I talked to you right after that last, I think it's been 10 months now that this has been in effect. I don't think we've had a big run on food trucks in town. I said before, if I ran a food truck, I would not run it in Vermilion because the market just does not make sense to do that. So I'm more than willing to open it up. Like I said, if you can legally park somewhere, you should be able to run a food truck out there. Obviously, if you have lines and stuff building up, you're out in the streets, it's a completely different story. But after the last time, we had one registered food truck and we took away our parking spot. I have no issue with that.
Councilman Worley, do you remember where her spot was?
I'm pretty sure she parked on Grand Street, right next to the Fulper parking lot.
Okay.
That's correct.
Would anybody have an objection if we opened that parking lot up to food trucks? On council, anybody on council have an objection to opening up that parking lot for food trucks?
Permanently?
Well, just like the other parks and spots that they're allowed to operate in.
But are you talking festivals or are you talking every day?
I think we probably have to talk every day.
Sounds like general use.
And then the lot, does the city own the other lot where like Tiffany's is? Is it a combination?
Where Tiffany's is?
Yeah, you know, the bigger parking lot?
Division Grand Lot?
Yeah, is that what it's called?
The traps, yeah, we own that.
There's a small section that we do not own, but most
Where the reserved spots are,
Yep.
you park here, we'll tell you.
Yep.
So, you know, and maybe a spot in there, or not, you can't really designate one spot, but maybe we open up that lot. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to hear everybody's suggestions. I don't have all the answers. I want to be fair to everybody. And I think I see a hand out there. I guess since coming up.
Jean Anderson, 3240 Edgewater Drive. I know Barb Brady addressed you at one of the previous meetings about her close work with Ed Reinhardt and what they secured for Third Thursdays downtown and the food trucks. When I was mayor, Ed Reinhardt came into my office with the idea, because he had just come from Canada, and thought that there was a little town that was just bustling and they had music coming into the city, and he said, why can't we do that here? It would be just great for downtown. Open it up free, bring a lot of people into town. And I said, I don't know, I don't see why we can't do that. So anyway, the rest is history. You know, it moved along, and we had Third Thursdays, and different people were in charge of it at different times. However, the main purpose was to bring people to our downtown. He just didn't want to see downtown die, and he wanted to bring some energy and activity to it. So I think if you can figure out a way to allow the food trucks, I know there are a lot of cities that do, and they're highly energized, and their downtowns are wonderful, and they're bustling. And a lot of times when I'm in those little cities as I travel or whatever, I think, why can't Vermilion have this? Why can't we do it? And I'm not sure why. Maybe it is designating a certain area for the food trucks. But the more you have, the more that come, sort of. You create, we used to call it kind of economic development districts. So if you had 5 auto parts store in the same place, it created a hub, and everybody that needed a part for their car came to that hub. So in a city, if you have a lot to offer people, a lot of people with different preferences and things that they like to do, the more people are going to come. So, you know, to think that we have to still, as Drew suggested, protect businesses from business, I'm not so sure that that's the real answer. I think we have to look at some place to entertain some of the food truck or alternative businesses to bring more energy and more interest into the city. And ultimately, that should be our primary concern. You know, what can we do to enhance business and people coming in to our downtown? And we want to make sure that it flourishes and doesn't dry up. So I think just becoming stale isn't the answer. So I guess that's just my little piece of history for this. Thank you.
Well, from a little bit different perspective though, right? So you've got businesses downtown. The closer you are to the lake, the more you pay for your location. I mean, we just had a gentleman that bought a garage, and he paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for a garage, right? And he's spending tens of thousands of dollars more to revamp it, to turn it into a restaurant. And now we're saying the business model of that is you can use public land for, what, $100 and sell similar products, and we're gonna say that's fair competition. You know, I guess that's my thinking in it. You know, you have people downtown who not only occupy buildings, who spend a lot of money on those buildings. They've stopped those buildings from becoming, they're older buildings, a lot of them hundreds of years old, some of them, stop them from becoming dilapidated. They employ teenage students in our town. They employ various part-time workers in our town. They pay property tax, and it's more than $100. And it's not using public land either. They had to purchase private land. They had to pay big money for it. The closer you are to the lake, the more you pay. So I'm saying, you know, that's all I'm asking is just have some consideration. And I know that that's going to sound protectionist and, you know, let's let them park wherever, but that's my point of view, my concern. You have a lot of people with a lot of investments downtown. And I don't know that that's a fair competition that I can go to Facebook right now and spend between $40,000 and $60,000 for a turnkey truck and drive down there, and we call that fair competition. So that's all I really have to say.
Anybody else have any suggestions or comments?
So I'll just speak on the food truck thing. I think initially when we talked about it, it was more along the lines of, like Third Thursday, we get so overcrowded on those nights that you almost can't get a spot anywhere in town to patronize the downtown businesses because the influx of people that have come from out of town to enjoy in the festivities. So, at least for me, and my point of view when we were talking about it, this was another avenue to keep those people in downtown instead of leaving to go to Amherst to eat or out to Route 60 or wherever the heck they would go to grab a bite to eat because you couldn't get a seat with a family or your wife and a couple of kids or anything in town on those specific nights. Now, I know we changed it a little bit and talked about weekdays and weeklies and everything else, but to what you're talking about, like that was initially like my viewpoint on it was really just to accommodate and to help out downtown on those special evenings.
And I thought, when I drafted the ordinance that's in play now, I thought we captured that. I mean, Victory Park's open.
Right.
That's pretty close to all the activity on Third Thursday. And, I think it was fair to both the brick and mortar stores and to any food trucks. So I'm kind of torn as far as opening it up all the way. I do think that Victory Park is within the walking distance of Third Thursdays. So, you know, at this point, really the one thing we didn't talk about, the only thing might want to change is I did get a call from Linwood back when we were talking about, or when we were revising this, and the way the ordinance is written now, Linwood can't have a food truck in their gated community because it's a residential. I wouldn't mind amending that at some point to allow them to bring a food truck into their gated community. And I think if I make any changes myself, that would probably be the only one I would recommend. But I'm open for ideas. I don't mind drafting up a new ordinance, but I don't want to waste my time either. if we're not all on board, so. Yes, sir. Tony?
About Linwood, that just made me think, you know, Linwood may have an issue with that because they do have a stand in there. And they may say, you know, you bring in a food truck, now you're taking away from our community's food stand.
Yeah, they actually wanted that. They wanted the food truck, and I forgot the gentleman's name who manages Linwood. He kind of wanted the idea of having the food truck he would invite in there. It wouldn't be a food truck would just show up and sell in their gated area. He wanted to be able to bring one in and you know, have an event. And I think the way it's written now, he can't. So again, it would be based on them inviting somebody in. It wouldn't be just pull in and sell. It's private property.
So would their association be that selective committee to pick and choose which?
Yeah, I mean, that's their problem. It's, you know, it's a private, it's not for us to figure out that solution for them, that's for sure. Just maybe open it up, the ordinance to allow it to happen.
Thank you.
So.
I'm just trying to pull off a memory. I don't see anything that explicitly says that they can't do it now. I hope we also wouldn't enforce that.
Right.
I don't see any issue if I have a food truck on my property, which I'm legally allowed to have, and serve my event, you know, I have a graduation party, I would serve my people. I don't look at Linwood as a whole. It doesn't explicitly say they can't do that. Right. And again, I would hope we wouldn't, looking at all you guys, go and force that on them. As far as I'm concerned, Linwood could do almost whatever they want to do. I'm not sure that an HOA or not, I'm pretty sure it's a gated community. Let them do whatever they want to do.
I agree with you 100%, but I think the way we wrote it unintentionally.
I'm fine with clarifying it too.
Yeah, it was just prohibited from selling in a residential district. You could have a food truck, like say you want to have a graduation party, and you're gonna hire the Swenson's food truck it could sit in your driveway.
Right.
It could give out food, but you can't sell it to the general public. And I believe the way we wrote it, it just prohibits sales from an R1 district. So we could entertain looking at that, you know, and just slow walk in another, you know, revision and just see how things work. But if nobody else has any comments or questions, I'll shoot up a little bit and think. Second.
Mayor, is there any description or anything you'd like to add about Mr. Lundy?
No, Mr. Lundy currently serves successfully on the Stormwater Commission, except it never meets. So Mr. Lundy is willing to move over to the Board of Zoning Appeals, which meets regularly.
Any discussion amongst council? Please call the roll.
Lucas,
Yes.
Worley,
Present.
Drew,
Yes.
West, Howe,
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And then we also have on new business the review of ordinance 25-30, which we discussed under the general financial update, which would be to change it, amend it, to add $100,000 to the $500,000 the ordinance currently lists. So what we would need there is a motion to amend ordinance 25-30 as recommended by the finance director.
Can I make a motion to amend that in a different way?
You can make whatever motion you like.
I would like to make a motion to amend it to add, so originally you wanted 600. I would make a motion that we add another 350 to that, taken from ordinance 10. And then instead of putting $700,000 in ordinance 10, we amend that and put 350 in ordinance 10. And I think that sort of splits the baby with a lot of discussion tonight. I know we're not gonna make everybody happy. A lot of people made some very good points. So I'm making that motion. So it would be,
I have clarification.
go ahead.
Maybe you're gonna do that right now.
So I'll make a motion to add, again, that was originally, you wanted 600, 950,000 into that.
And the other money is coming from,
Instead of putting 700,000 into the stormwater, we
You mean the
add
wastewater?
350. We do 350.
And yeah, instead, my understanding is instead of 700 into 415, we would cut that in half. That would then become a $350,000 transfer.
And-
To,
and-
to wastewater, not stormwater.
Right, to 415.
So you're only putting
Not 450.
350
Half of what you asked,
into wastewater.
wastewater, correct. And then the other half would go into the road fund. And there's a reason behind this. Not only was there good discussion, but last week we again, and I'm sort of kind of regretting my vote, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. We passed an ordinance last week to have the engineer come up with plans for Brown Hill Station Road, I believe it was Brown Hill, for $100,000. And we all know there's no money to build it, so
This year.
it was a waste of money. So maybe by making this transfer, we can have the funds to fix that road instead of having $100,000 in drawings that are gonna sit in a drawer for God knows how long. We're talking about the snowplow truck and all this other stuff, but we spent $100,000, and I'm just as at fault as everybody else who voted yes. We spent $100,000 to come up with blueprints that we don't have the money to follow through with. So in a way, this sort of fixes that, maybe. And I know other people are not gonna necessarily agree with me, but, so that's my motion. So maybe somebody will second that.
So that's a long motion. Is there a second?
So we're
I was
technically,
the one to vote no.
so I just want to clarify, we are amending ordinance 2025-10 to transfer from the general fund $350,000 to Fund 415. And then a motion, in the same motion, to amend ordinance 2025-30 to make a transfer from the general fund 101 make it $850,000 into fund.
No,
It said
950.
350.
950.
500. Oh, 600.
They wanted to add 100, yep.
So 100,000, okay. Got it.
I have a question. Will that leave enough money for the wastewater to cover that loan payment that we're gonna need?
not in subsequent years.
Just, can we pay that from a different fund? Don't even think about if the money's there or not. Can that come from a different fund?
As long as council approves it.
Okay, thank you.
And allocates money to the fund so there's that much money.
Thanks.
Okay, we need a second.
Could we say that again, please?
Okay,
Because I also
you
need to
have-
be sure
Sure.
that the appropriations that we have here, it's sure what the total of those monies were. We had several
Yeah.
chats going on there.
You wanted 600 to go to streets. I'm proposing 950. You wanted 700 to go to the stormwater, or wastewater, and I'm proposing 350. So that's 700, 350 is gonna go to roads, 350 will go to the stormwater.
Okay, and then that covers 30.
Right. Okay, so, are we good?
We'll tackle some big road projects.
We didn't really change the amounts. We just-
Right, so I'm saying if I have to adjust between the funds that are in the appropriation, that can be done as long as I've got enough money in the streets fund to cover that cut, which as long as that's at least 600,
Which would be now 950.
I would be good.
I need a second.
Yeah, we're still waiting on a second. I'll second it. Is there any discussion? It seems like we.
I'm just gonna throw it out there, I would not be opposed to us having an additional meeting this month to really hammer all this out. I know we're throwing a lot of stuff, so that we can comply with the revised code and I really figure out where all this money is going here, there, and there.
I have a question.
We're in a, we have motions on the floor, and we're in a regular council meeting now. I'm sorry. No? Well, yeah, so,
Civil service meets on Monday the 20th.
One of the caveats that I'm missing out on, and I would be opposed to going into that executive session, is to talk about the time frame of that.
The timeframe of second council.
What you had suggested going to executive session for, your bargaining agreements and stuff they're doing. That's the only thing that I have no time frame on. And that is an important caveat to it.
okay, is there, let me, because we're in discussion for a lot of amending here. So there is, what'd you say, the 19th? Would council be available, would everybody be available on May 19th?
I'm available. That's Monday, right? Next Monday? Yeah.
6 o'clock?
Throwing it out there.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the ordinances 25-30 and 25-10. Is there any further discussion?
If we're really, thinking about having another council meeting to discuss this, where would we put it? Are we gonna have, we wouldn't have a special committee then, would we?
No, we would just do the last reading of it.
Then,
it would just be a regular reading.
Direction of,
So-
if you want us to amend the legislation.
yeah, but maybe I rescind my motion and make so my motion would be a third reading, and obviously we would vote on it the ways tonight, right? So how about we?
Yeah, we would have it tonight, if we don't have another meeting, it's up for a third reading. So, we should be voting on this. But if you're gonna amend it and the council wants further discussion on it, I would be okay with one more meeting this month.
How about I make the motion to to amend it,
Let's amend it
and then we table it for, next week's meeting, or whatever day we pick.
The 20th or 19th, I'm sorry. Okay, so we've had a withdrawal motion and a second motion that is now saying to amend it as stated, and then have, table it until the 19th.
Amend it first, then.
Okay. Okay, can we entertain a motion to amend ordinances 25-10 and 25-30
As stated earlier.
as previously stated?
I'm making that motion, I need a second.
We already have a second.
Yes, second,
I
I'm
need to
sorry,
call the
well,
roll.
please call the roll.
Drew,
Yes.
Worley,
So just to clarify, this motion's the exact same motion for with the caveat of the meeting next Monday.
Yeah, this is just
Perfect,
amended.
yes, I just wanted, there's a lot of stuff to say. Thank you.
is that a yes?
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
West, yes, Huber.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and then we'll need a motion to table ordinance 25-30,
So moved.
And 10, right?
and 25-10 is already tabled.
Second.
Sorry, who made the second?
Mr. Howell. Any discussion on that table? Please call the roll.
Hal,
Yes.
Worley,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
West, Huber.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll go into the reading of the ordinances. Yep, 25-10 is tabled, where's the list there? Can I entertain a motion to untable ordinance 25-26? Which is the snowplow truck, the snow and ice package.
So moved.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion on that?
Drew,
Real quick, I'm sorry. This ordinance, again, is for the equipment for the truck.
Yeah. and then
So
the bond
again,
will be for
I
the-
would suggest that we table this until we approve the purchase of the truck, if that's gonna happen, so we're not buying equipment or approving legislation to buy equipment on a truck that we don't have.
Well, yeah, it's already tabled, so we can
Withdraw our motion.
withdraw the motion. So I guess I was having a hard time believing that anybody would vote for the plow package and not the truck.
You never
That
know.
makes no sense, but we can do it in order, I'm okay with it. Okay, ordinance 25-30 has been tabled, so we'll have a second reading, 2025-31.
Think we have to hold this till next meeting
If the
to
if the
decide.
appropriations are not approved, if we're going to have another meeting, then the third reading of 31 can be on a normal schedule, and we don't have to suspend any rules. If that means we have to come into that meeting ready to go
Yes.
and not all, a lot of moving parts that could impact that.
Okay, now that, I'm gonna continue with the reading of the ordinances. Ordinance 25-31, an ordinance amending ordinance 2025-6 adopted March 23rd, 2025, to make appropriations for current expenditures and to amend the 2025 Certificate of Estimated Resources for the City of Vermilion, Ohio. Be hereby ordained by council in the City of Vermilion, Ohio, counties of Erie and Lorraine, and State of Ohio, that to provide current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Vermilion, Ohio for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, the following appropriation and estimated resource adjustments are hereby authorized. Okay, are hereby the following modifications made to appropriations as attached here to incorporated.
You only have to read
Way
the
past the
caption.
Oh, I'm gonna keep going. That's how you should be reading it.
Do you want me to read it?
You said read, sure. Okay, that will go to a third reading. Then, please continue, so we're on 2025-32.
Okay, this is the second reading of ordinance 2025-32, an ordinance establishing Fund 235, Senior Citizen Activity Fund. You want that voted?
That will go to a third. Please continue.
This is the second reading of ordinance 2025-33, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio to enter into an agreement with Rush Truck Centers of Cincinnati, Ohio for the new international truck chassis for the Vermilion Street Department through the Sourcewell State Purchasing Program, authorizing the finance director to make payment in an amount not to exceed $114,566 and declaring an emergency.
And that will go to a third reading. Please continue.
This is a second reading of ordinance 2025-35, an ordinance amending 406, the codified ordinances of the city of Vermilion, entitled Traffic Control Map, in section 406.01G, entitled Established.
Okay, that will go to a third reading. Please continue.
This is second reading of ordinance 2025-36, an ordinance establishing Fund 236, Clerk Computerization Fund.
Thank you. That will go to a third reading. Please continue.
This is a second reading of ordinance 2025-37, an ordinance amending section 268.01B2, entitled Rules and Regulations of chapter 268, entitled Parks and Recreation Board of the codified ordinances of the city of Vermilion, Ohio.
Thank you. That will go to a third reading. Please continue.
This is the second reading of ordinance 2025-38, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio, to engage into a contract for management services for the operation and maintenance of the city's cemeteries.
And that will also go to a third reading. Please
This is
continue.
a first reading of ordinance 2025-39, an ordinance transferring funds from one appropriation to another and/or appropriating funds not heretofore appropriated.
Thank you. That will go to a second reading.
This
Please
is the first reading of ordinance 2025-40, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an engagement for special services with Stephen Funk and the law firm of, how do you say their name? And address for legal representation in certain litigation proceedings and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. That was.
Was this needed?
You need this.
Yes,
Right?
it is.
I believe this was for the litigation.
Then can we entertain a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 25-40?
So moved. I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Not under suspension. West? Is Drew?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Gabriel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Then can we entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 25-40
So moved.
and declaring an emergency?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Any discussion?
Is there, I think we all know what this is for.
Drew?
Yes.
West? Yes. Lucas?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Gabriel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Please continue.
You can see your
On
agenda.
541.
This is the first reading of ordinance 2025-41, and ordinance transferring funds from one appropriation to another and/or appropriating funds not heretofore appropriated.
Okay, and with that, our next meeting date will be in this facility on the 19th. That's correct, right?
Yep.
Okay, followed by a June 2nd meeting at 6 p.m., a June 9th meeting of committees on June 9th at 6 p.m., and on the 16th, a
Regular council?
regular council meeting. And that may say tentative, but I think we're gonna meet. We're putting 10 pounds of stuff in an 8-pound bag, ladies. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.